Hi again. So I wanted to spend a few minutes talking to you about specifications grading. I use the word specs grading or the term specs grading, same thing. Um, the reason I want to do this is because it's probably new to many of you. So the way specifications grading works is that there are a bundle of assignments for each grade level. So let me pull up the specifications grade tracker. I created, oops, I'm gonna need to share screen with you here. Okay, so I created this tracker for you. It's available as both a Word document that you can print and check off manually. It's also available as a fillable PDF. I'm going to warn you right now that when you're that it's sometimes difficult to navigate in Adobe, and so like the screen's going to go black periodically, and don't worry. It's much easier to do on your own computer. Okay. So what you see here is a table, right? In order to receive a grade of D in this class, you have to get a satisfactory score on 2 of the 3 unit exams or the final, right? So if you go through this whole class, the only thing you do is take the final and you get above a 70% on the final, congratulations, you just got a D in this class. And if that's your goal, you just need to pass and you're pretty confident you can do well on the final exam, that's a choice you could make. You might choose to just take the final. I'm not going to recommend that, because if you don't pass the final, if you don't get a satisfactory score on the final, then you fail the class, and that, who wants to do that? That's no fun. If you want to get a C in the class, you need to get a satisfactory score on 2 of the 3 unit exams or the final, and you need to complete 12 of the web text assignments. There are a total of 15 of them. So you need to do the vast majority of them. But these are assignments that are embedded in the textbook, and you complete them in the textbook, and then it automatically dumps your grade into Canvas. When you do a web text assignment and the grade shows up in Canvas, what you're going to see is either an S for satisfactory or an NS for not satisfactory. So it's really easy to keep track of whether you've satisfactorily completed these assignments. It's important to note that I can't change the way you see your exam scores. Canvas just won't let me do that. So you need to be conscious of the fact that a satisfactory on an exam is 70% or more, right? If you want to get a B in the class, you need to actually get a satisfactory on all 3 of the unit exams or the final. The final counts for all 3 exams. In addition, you need to do the 12 web text assignments that you needed to do for the C. And then you also need to complete the signature writing assignment, which is a short letter to the editor or op-ed. And there's an explanation of how to do this. If you want to get an A in the class, you need to complete you need to get a satisfactory score on all 3 unit exams, and you need to complete all 15 web text assignments. You need to complete the signature assignment, and you need to complete 6 critical reflections, which are described in a little more detail on Canvas. Basically, for each of the 7 units, you have modules rather, you have a prompt that asks you to develop a response, cite a source, and basically answer a question. There are some requirements for that. You need to get a satisfactory on 6 of the 7 in order to get an A. So this is pretty straightforward. As you're going through the class, right, as you can get a satisfactory on different assignments, just check them off, right? Look at this. On the unit exams, on the web text. Sorry, it's really slow. It scrolls very slowly. But let's say you do, stop, don't move. Right? Okay, come back. You do 6, 7, 8, 9. You do 10 of the web text assignments. You do great on all the exams, and you do the signature assignment. That's fantastic. Unfortunately, you're getting a D in the class. Even though you completed the assignments in the B tier, in the B bundle, you didn't finish completing the assignments in the C bundle. So you can't get above a D, right? So this is why it's important for you to keep track of how you're doing. You can't make up for a deficiency in one section by doing better in another. Maybe you get hundreds on all of the exams, but you're missing those two homeworks. And so you end up with a D, and you may be thinking, that doesn't seem right. I got a perfect score. I got a perfect score on all of those tests. And Joe over there just took the final and got a 72, and somehow we end up with the same grade. Yes. And the reason for that is that you and Joe have both shown me that you have a satisfactory understanding of the basic knowledge of the course, but you haven't shown me that you can do that you have engaged with the material through the web text assignments in a satisfactory way, etc. So you can't make up for missing some things in one area by doing better in another. I hope that makes sense. It's really important that you're checking off your satisfactory scores as you go, and that you are filling in as many of the boxes in the table as you possibly can. What if you get to the end of the semester, you've done all the web text assignments, and you did the signature assignment, you did all of those in a satisfactory way, but you only passed one of the 3 unit exams. You only got a satisfactory on one of the 3 unit exams. This is where the final becomes very important, because again, if you get a satisfactory on the final, it is the same as getting a satisfactory on all 3 unit exams. So if you don't get a satisfactory on the final, unfortunately, you're going to fail the class. But if you get a satisfactory on the final, you get a B, right? Because you've done everything else. You've done everything in this box, and then you will have done everything in the D and the B boxes because you've taken and gotten a satisfactory score on the final. So this is why it's very important to keep up. It's very important to keep track. And if you have questions, ask, because I'm happy to answer them for you. I also want to share with you the token system. So the way that, there we go. The way that we provide some flexibility, because I don't want you to feel like, gosh, if you miss a web text assignment the first week, an A is out of the question, right? Like that's no good. I want you to know that there is some flexibility. If you miss an assignment, or if you do an assignment and you get an unsatisfactory, there is a way around that. Specifically, if you go to Canvas in the modules, under important links in this module right here, there are a number of important links. One is the Students Helping Students discussion board, where you can post questions that you may have about assignments or specs grading or whatever. And not only can students respond to you, but I can respond to you as well. There's also a link that explains how to set up a meeting with me for office hours. I am delighted to meet with you for office hours. Just schedule a meeting. Happy to talk to you. But what we came here for is token redemption. So you will see in the grade book that you are starting off with these 3 points, these 3 tokens. If you want to redeem a token, here's the information. For 1 token, you can turn in a web text assignment late. So you can do it anytime before the end of the day on the last Thursday of class, right? You still have to earn 70% of the points in order to get a satisfactory, but you can turn it in quite late. You can use 1 token to turn in a writing assignment, which is the signature assignment, up to 48 hours late, or to revise and resubmit either an unsatisfactory writing assignment or an unsatisfactory critical reflection. And I'll show you how to do the revision and resubmit in just a second. For 2 tokens, you can actually get a satisfactory grade on either an incomplete web text assignment or an incomplete critical reflection. So for example, maybe you get to the end of the semester and you still have 2 tokens left. And you're like, you know what? I've done 5 of the critical reflections. I'm just going to use 2 tokens to get that 6th one. That's perfectly acceptable. So if you just miss an assignment, either a critical reflection or a web text assignment entirely, you can use 2 of your 3 tokens to just automatically get a satisfactory. In order to redeem the tokens, Canvas isn't going to let me actually launch this assignment because the class hasn't started yet. But what you would do is click here where it says New Attempt. And then you'll see a text box where you can type, right? As though you were submitting an assignment. In that text box, all you have to do is say, I am redeeming 1 token so that I can turn in web text chapter 3 late. Or I am submitting 2 tokens in exchange for not doing critical reflection number 4. Right? So just specify how many tokens you're using and the assignment that you're using it for. It's that simple. Then once you hit submit, Gabby and I will be able to go in and adjust your scores so that you'll get the satisfactory satisfactory score where you have earned it now. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. If you need, let's say you submit 1 token so that you can do web text chapter 3 late. And then you do the signature assignment and you get an unsatisfactory. So you need to revise and resubmit that. But you've already submitted this assignment. What you do is you click on the assignment again, and in the comments section for the assignment, right? There's an opportunity for you to write a comment that comes back to us. And you would say, I want to submit or I want to redeem another token in order to revise my signature assignment. Make sense? Okay. Let's go back to the modules and I'll show you how you revise and resubmit. There is another assignment that says revisions. For the revisions assignment, if you have submitted tokens to revise and resubmit an assignment late, to revise and resubmit an assignment that you got an unsatisfactory for. Let's say it's the signature assignment. No, actually, let's say it's a critical reflection. Critical reflection, normally you would add to a discussion board. If you're revising it, write the response in a Word document, right? So you're not going to use the discussion board. Instead, you're going to write it in a Word document, put, critical reflection, public opinion, or critical reflection 1, something, so I know what it is, at the top of that Word document, and then write your response, just like you would have on the discussion board. Then you come to this assignment here and upload the file. So you need to do 2 things. You need to submit the token redemption assignment saying, I'm using a token to revise and resubmit critical reflection 1. And then you need to actually use this assignment to submit the revision, right? And then we'll go in and we will fix the gradebook for you. Okay. So again, I know this it may seem very weird to you. I promise you that there are great benefits for you. For example, if you decide I have a lot going on in my life and I am okay with a D, or I'm okay with a C, I'm just going to do the assignments for a C, fine, right? That's entirely up to you. That is a choice you can make. I will not judge you for that choice. We all make choices. It's totally fine. It's also nice because you really do know exactly what you need to do. You're not going to get to the end of the semester and think, what score do I need to get on this final exam in order to get from a B to an A? There's no mystery, right? If you are in a position where an A is still possible because you've done all the rest of these assignments, you need to get a satisfactory on the final. It's that simple. Of course, if you've already gotten satisfactories on all 3 unit exams, you don't need to take the final, which is even better. But you've got that safety net. So I really do think this is actually a very good system for grading it for reasons that I won't get into. It's actually intellectually more honest to me, because you can't sort of make up for a lack of learning by showing that you've completed these scaffolding assignments that we do, the web text assignments, which are meant to build knowledge, not to show knowledge. It just makes more sense to me that way. But in any event, I know it is new. New things are scary. I don't like new things either. So just make sure that you've printed out the tracker, that you're keeping track of your scores, or you're keeping track of your satisfactory completion of assignments, that you're using your tokens wisely. And if you have questions, ask. Always, always, always just ask. Okay, so with that, good luck, folks.